Hello and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. My name is Michael, and as always, I'm joined by my good friends Jeff.
Hello.
And Richard.
Howdy.
Each week on the podcast, usually Richard and I debate a much vaulted topic, argued about topic, some goofy-ass topic that we decide is worthy of being debated, and Jeff is the judge. But once a year, Richard and I turn the tables on dear old Jeffrey Hopkins.
It's usually a Christmas miracle, is what it is.
It just gives us a weekend off almost.
Yeah, we
We're
don't
like,
have to do anything.
Finally, we don't have to search something on Wikipedia for 19 minutes.
It is hard.
Yeah.
It is a hard task.
But this week, Jeff chose the topic like he did last week. And the topic is the Mount Rushmore of trapped on an island.
Yeah.
Or trapped on a deserted island. Or
Just
as
trapped
we've
on an
argued
island.
Trapped on an island.
argued about in the past, trapped on a desert island. Either one of the three.
Okay.
Why did you choose this?
I love this lens through which one can view an idea, through which a storyteller can communicate a narrative. The idea is one is isolated geographically to a place. If it's trapped on an island and it's not deserted, you're just isolated geographically to that place because you're trapped. But like some of the themes that we discuss here on the podcast, some existential ideas or some movies about people who are forced to relive certain days over and over again. We were just talking about Groundhog Day. It's all conceptual because we're all on an island.
It's a lot of being trapped on an island is a lot of look it in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's forcing you to accept yourself, see what it is about yourself that puts you there on this island or can get you out of this island, or what are you going to do with your time on the island? You kind of have those three. There's three options. Either you're trying to get off, you're trying to reconcile how you got there, or you're, I'm here. Let's boogie.
Yeah, let's make the most of it. So, yeah.
So this is Jeff's topic, and Ricardo, please start us off.
All right, so my first choice is the third of the three Gilligan's Islands movies.
Oh, wow.
Made after the show went off the air. This was 1981. In 1981's The Castaways. 1981's The Harlem Globetrotters on
best.
Gilligan's Island.
It's the best. This is animated.
No, it's live action.
This one was live action?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
good
this one's
lord.
live action. It's got the Harlem Globetrotters.
Versus the robots.
Yes. And I am, and so basically the plot of the film is that the Harlem Globetrotters crashed land on Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
So that's where the trapped on the island part comes from. I'm fudging the rules a little bit because they are trapped on Gilligan's Island for a while, but they are luckily rescued by the gang, Gilligan's gang, who now are running Castaways, which is the resort.
Up in Burbank?
Yeah, the restaurant. Yeah, really good prime rib. Okay. They're now running the Castaways, which is their vacation resort that they have. And I started to watch this last night, and I'd had a couple of drinks. It's bad. You guys.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
You'd think with the stellar cast and the new concept.
You'd think with 21.
Curly Neal.
First off, the first scene involves Skipper and Gilligan. They're still sharing a room.
Yeah.
With one on top of the other, the bunk beds.
Yeah.
Skipper's got to be 80. Gilligan's 50 or whatever the hell he is.
Yeah.
And they're still doing the falling out of the out of the hammock and on the other one and boop, 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 boop.
Talk about turning the mirror in on yourself, that you choose to go back to an island after you were trapped there for 15 years, however long it was, and then you still choose to live within the same rut.
Yeah.
This is one of my points from this movie. There appears to be some sort of, I don't know, Stockholm syndrome. I don't know exactly what you would call it.
Yeah.
But the fact that they all chose to basically relive this life over and over again.
It's like in the movie Castaway, when the Tom Hanks character at the end, he's brought back to civilization and he can't sleep in a bed. And he lays out a blanket on the hard.
Well, maybe we'll get to that.
Okay. That's fascinating that the prison becomes your womb, the place that you return to. Yeah.
Kind of like Shawshank Redemption thing.
Yeah.
With the one guy who couldn't make it after he got out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
Same sort of thing. Then you cut to the Harlem Globetrotters private jet, which it's 1981, and I actually do believe they had a private jet in 1981. It's amazing how big the Harlem Globetrotters were, like in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Like they were on Wide World of Sports like all the time and flying to Beijing and God knows where else for games.
Animated on Scooby-Doo.
Had their own Crofts Brothers.
Sid and Marty Krofft, they did?
The Harlem Globetrotters popcorn machine.
That's the best. God, that's the best.
And they're all sleeping, but they all have their basketball with them. Some of them are using the basketball as a pillow.
Makes sense.
Curly Neal is asleep, and he's dribbling the basketball in the aisle. And you can tell something goes wrong because suddenly the plane lurches and the basketball slips from his dribble. That wakes him up, of course.
Yeah. Well, this one was Tina Louise boycotted this.
Yeah, they couldn't get either of the Dons because they had a second Don that I think Tina Louise had boycotted at least one of the movies. So they'd got someone else to play Ginger. Then that person didn't want to play, so they were like on a third Ginger at this point.
Wow.
And poor Jim Backus was like in very ill health.
Yeah.
So they had to replace him with his son, Thurston Howell IV.
Oh, gross.
Except they did have Jim Backus come in for like one scene that he like powered his way through. He does not look well, you guys.
Oh, that's Chick Hearn.
Chick Hearn is in it?
Yeah.
Stu Nahan?
Stu Nahan, yeah.
Some LA sports legend.
Wow. The campy nature of this is something that, were you to try to explain this to somebody, to your daughter, what would you have to, how many footnotes would the story have to have?
Actually, I think it would be very quick. It would be...
Don't worry about it.
Don't sweat it. So they eventually machinations happen. They wind up having to play a basketball game for the Castaways resort against Martin Landau as an evil tycoon.
Yeah.
And his team of robots called the New Invincibles. Which reminds me,
Space Jam stole the plot from this
basically,
one. Yeah.
they did, yeah. So I don't know what happened to the old Invincibles.
Yeah.
Maybe they became the Timsmen.
That's very good.
Unclear.
Making a note.
But I just put this in here because Gilligan's Island is such a beloved show.
Yeah.
They tried to milk so much out of this. And by the time it's an absurd, ridiculous show on its face.
Yeah.
And then you start bringing like the freaking Harlem Globetrotters and basketball playing robots. And Martin Landau, didn't he have something better to do in the late 70s, early 80s?
His career rivals Michael Caine's in terms of like things he'll do to pay a mortgage.
Right.
Like Jaws 4.
Yeah, yeah. I had an ongoing argument with a friend regarding which show was the most existential, Brady Bunch or Gilligan's Island, and it felt like it was always Gilligan's Island because the Brady Bunch was always had access to the world. Davy Jones could guest star on the Brady Bunch. Yeah, these people, they were in the world with these people. Wrong-Way Wainwright would have to crash land on Gilligan's Island, in order to, or a Soviet spy.
The big kahuna
came surfing it. Dracula, I think, somehow on one episode. And I always felt that it was most existential of all the shot in Technicolor things that you would come home to and eat cereal after school while watching. So,
right.
It's
on par with the Monkees in terms of just batshit crazy.
Batshit crazy, yeah. And the ingenuity in terms of technology and the things that the real circumstances that kept them on the island, and then the strange interruptions to logic in which Mr. Howell would somehow have today's Wall Street Journal delivered to him on that island, or
I think he was just reading the old one that he brought with him.
Oh, and he had mental illness, so he thought it was the same one.
There's a very interesting self-defeating aspect of Gilligan's Island. I don't think that they ever really wanted to get off the island, or it seems like they could have pretty easily or frequently.
Yeah.
But I think that their lives off the island were worse than what they had, in spite of their wealth or their fame.
I think except for the Howells,
professorial.
except they were so lazy, they actually wouldn't contribute anything to getting off the island.
They definitely built a family that they didn't seem to have. Apparently, I guess Thurston Howell had a son,
right?
Never mentioned before. The career that
He went off to war with the older son from the Happy Days and never came back.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of self-sabotage, and they found true happiness actually on the island. Especially, I can't remember if it was the first Gilligan's Island movie or the second, where they get off and then go on a boat tour again and crash on the same island.
That's the first one, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, you guys are idiots.
Yeah.
You did this on purpose.
It does. Often the trapped on a deserted island trope has an isolated individual or a small group, like Lost, trapped kind of on a beach or on an island. In this case, how conveniently have we how conveniently are we to be trapped with every archetype of American culture at that time?
Right.
You know, the industry, the millionaire, the working man,
And no black people.
Well, until Gilligan's and the Harlem Globetrotters.
Right. Suddenly it was like, guys, this is kind of white. It's 1981. We're pretty progressive at this point.
I wonder if is it the Washington Generals that played the Harlem Globetrotters
Yes.
for so many years?
Who would have won a game between the robots and the Washington Generals?
The robots, they were invincible.
They were the new
They were
Invincibles.
newly invincible.
Right.
If I could apply for one job for one day, it would be the coach of the Washington Generals, and just like to have that halftime talk, like, guys, you really look like idiots out there. Act like you don't get it.
Just shouting from the bench, no, it's confetti in there.
It's confetti.
Not water.
I wonder if the robots lost because they were programmed to like defeat the Globetrotters' razzmatazz, or if the
Other way around.
the Globetrotters.
They had to use their razzmatazz because when they first
They
were
were
trying to play a straight game, the robots were in fact invincible, and they were ahead like 97-3. Mm-hmm. And then they realized at halftime that the professor realized the robots were not. They were just built on logic. So if you started doing all the bullshit stuff,
Yeah.
there's no way they could. Their brains, they're like computing.
We'll do this thing called cheating that we do.
Right. So, like to your point, it is Space Jam.
It's Space
Bill
Jam.
Murray comes in and basically tells them that they have to be themselves.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, well, yeah.
No.
Sorry.
All right, that's our first excellent choice by Richard.
Pretty
Manfredi.
great. Pretty great.
Jeffrey, please. Number one.
Okay. All right. So I have I'd like to start off with a movie I've only seen once, so I can't really speak very intellectually about it. But The Descendents. George Clooney as Matt King has everything and nothing. He is trapped on the most beautiful island of Hawaii or Honolulu. I think it's Honolulu.
So the second or third most beautiful island in
Second or
Hawaii.
third most beautiful.
Definitely top 4.
His wife has had an affair on him, and she's now in a coma. His daughter has a disciplinary problem. She's living away from
Is that what happens when you have an affair with somebody?
the daughter.
You go into a coma?
She goes right in a coma.
That's what happens to you?
His father-in-law's dying, so he can't talk to his wife about what's going on. His father-in-law hates him, and he has all this potential money trapped in this real estate that he's the executor of. Everybody in his family expects him to sell it all, and that's the decision he's making throughout the whole thing. So I find this story amazing because it doesn't take place on a deserted island. It's very mainstream. The guy's incredibly wealthy. He's got all the things that we think mean somebody should be happy. And even the people immediately around him believe he is happy. And he is a person who has no reason to be to feel alone and isolated and entirely abandoned, which he is. There's nobody he can talk to about anything. And it's funny because George Clooney often plays these characters who look exactly like George Clooney.
Yeah. He doesn't do a lot of hair and makeup.
No.
Like, this is what you have.
This is what you have. And pretty much the world kind of jumps into his lap. So I really liked the film, and I thought it was a kind of fun study of somebody who, unlike Tom Hanks, who's only got a volleyball, he has everything, and he's absolutely the most lonely, troubled person that you can imagine. So
I think wealth seems to do that to a lot of people, and they isolate themselves, in this case, on a literal island and bring everything with them. But at the same time, presidents are one of 44 or 45 people who have ever held the spot. Billionaires are, even though there's more and more of them, there is tremendous power, and with that power comes building walls and building distances between people and trying to keep away the people that want your money, want your help, want your charity, want your invention. There's so many wants that come from that it feels very lonely.
Yeah.
And you only can relate to other people who experience that exact same sort of loneliness.
Yeah.
These sorts of billionaire clubs or all those things seem like, it's like they're want for nothing, but then they can't really get what they really need sometimes, which is like a connection to everyone or something.
Yeah. Reading the Beatles, I think it was George or Paul were talking about how happy they were to be the Beatles and not Elvis, because he had nobody else to be Elvis with. They had 3 other guys to be Beatles with. And if the hotel is being surrounded by screaming hordes of people, they could all just kind of go into a room and kind of like
hang out together.
You only have you only have your Colonel Tom Parker to hang out with.
Yeah, or your
TCB
your Memphis Mafia.
We just watched Love Actually last night, getting ready for winter or for Christmas coming up, and near the end of the movie, he's the Billy Mack.
Yeah.
What's that?
Bill Nye.
The Bill Nye character. He's off to this rich and fabulous party to get drunk with all these women. And then he spends the evening with his manager, who's this fat slow.
Oh yeah.
Kind of. He's just the guy that's been with him with forever. And it's like that's all he really knows. He doesn't know. He knows that other lifestyle, but he's not really connected to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So that's
poor
just
rich Elvis.
Oh my God, it is funny. They every time I hear that concept of this kind of individual who's allowed their wealth to isolate them from everything, you realize that it's just a matter of degrees. I mean, I have a garage full of stuff that I at one time wanted, but I don't look at it anymore. So
is the entire movie set on the island, or does he eventually leave? Does he?
It's all on the island, and it's also a lot of in a way, it's kind of a, what do you call them? Not a pictogram. Shoot. What do you call that?
A hangman?
A hangman. They used to call movies, in a way, it's kind of a travel log, because the main character in this film is the incredible beauty of the surroundings. You just kind of, if you're a cameraman, if you're a director of photography shooting a movie in that era, you know where to point the camera. Look at this beautiful landscape. And in a way that, like a king sitting alone in his castle, it creates sharp contrast between this person who is in paradise and feels that they are trapped. So, yeah. There's my first manic depressive choice.
All right, awesome. Richard.
Yeah. All right, so you mentioned the movie Castaway. So we're going there.
Okay.
And you and Jeff, you mentioned the relationship with Wilson.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out that this movie has one of the greatest romantic relationships in film history. Tom Hanks and Wilson.
Is that right?
I believe so.
You believe so?
Oh, it's definitely more than just like a friendship, right?
So the Harlem Globetrotters...
It's turned into something like...
Curly Neal and his basketball does not rival the relationship between...
I mean,
so far two of Richard's picks have involved sports equipment.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what number 3.
There's the theme.
Air Bud.
Trapped on an island where he just dies of hunger. I remember this. I do remember when this movie came out, and it's basically all of the hubbub was about Tom Hanks' physical transformation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm constantly amazed by performers who go through these physical transformations. And I know that he kind of got himself fat for the start of the film, so that way when he lost weight, it would look like he had lost
more.
More dramatic.
Yeah. I would do the fat part and then kind of mess up on that.
That's my point.
Hey, guys, I got to talk to you about our next shoot.
Yeah, that's my point. But if it was me, what happened if he would have rolled into Zemeckis' office 6 months later, looking like Marlon Brando from Island of Dr. Moreau, like
they'd
wearing
have to,
a moo-moo or
couldn't
something?
do it. Let's rewrite.
We'll have to
Get Christian Bale.
do a Polar Express on the lower part of my body.
just throw on one of those Polar Expresses, just real quick.
I can't lose 5 pounds, you guys. Much less like 50.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
They have trainers.
I know they do, but so do I. I can get a trainer. It's not going to make me lose weight.
Well, that's not your job. It's his job your job's to go do amazing things with your career and your kids and stuff like that. He has one job to lose weight.
He doesn't have to do anything.
He
with
doesn't
his
have to do
kids.
anything. Yeah.
They used the Wilson as a great way of just having some sort of conversation, some sort of explanation for things.
Right. Somehow they managed to elevate that relationship beyond just just mainly being there as exposition, like an expositionary tool.
That's the word I was thinking of. Yes, thank you.
It's more than that. Being trapped on that island like he is for what? He was on the island for 4 years. And I think that would be more than anything else, that would be what would get you. That would be what would break you, would be the isolation. It wouldn't necessarily be the survival instincts of it.
Yeah.
That's almost like this first hurdle you have to get across. And he shows that he's a very resourceful person, is able to figure out how to carve a life for himself on this island. But what he struggles with the most is the mental aspect of it, of just basically having to go from a normal everyday life to this completely isolated, completely by yourself. Look, if you're diving off of your raft to try and rescue a piece of sporting equipment, something has gone wrong in your head.
Do you think he's plagued, as we all are, about those relationships that have a future, but he only exists in the past of them? So we think of like, oh, the college girlfriend, what's happening to her now, or the people I used to work with, I wonder how they're doing without me back at the office. Do you think that character feels like he's suffering from FOMO times 1 billion?
Well, he does end up going back to Helen Hunt, and I think he's surprised that she's moved on.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he's necessarily even thinking of that. I think he's, to some extent, has lost such track of time that does he really even know it's been 4 years? Or when he first gets off the island, or while he's on the island, does he just know I've been on here for a while?
The only context that he really has is when she describes that their city got a football team, and that football team made it to the Super Bowl, only to lose in the last second.
Exactly.
I think that's the only real sense of time that's really kind of captured outside of his time on the island. She moves on.
Everybody moves on. They had a funeral for him, the whole 9 yards, and then he has to try and reintegrate himself to this. So I think as much as this is a movie about physical survival, it really is more a movie about the mental aspect of being trapped on an island.
Sure. The things that he's holding on to, the relationship with Helen Hunt, and then the one package that he feels that he still has the need to deliver.
Right.
Those two things, and that by the end of it, he's finally able to deliver the package and reconnect with the person that he was going to marry. Like he was going to propose to her or something, right? And then all of a sudden, you're just like, okay, now what's next?
And it's a good thing that the package woman happened to be like a really good looking woman.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't some like fat guy named Tony.
Apologies to fat guys named Tony listening.
And who had some weed shipped to him or something.
I felt that FedEx promo was something that took me out of the movie at some point. It was totally a logical thing, and it would have looked stupider if they made up a fake shipping company, ShipX or something. But I remember feeling like product placement was that his
Thank God for this Wilson ball.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was odd that there was an unending supply of Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
that also happened to wash up on the.
Where's it getting ice?
Machine we were delivering. And this electrical socket, and this 10,000 miles of electrical cord is waterproof. Oh, thank God.
But yeah, I think in the Tom Hanks showing off his Spencer Tracy-like ability to just kind of be in a way that we all believe in and put ourselves in that circumstance because we think, well, yeah, he's kind of acting not unlike we would all act in that circumstance. What a jerk.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
You're second.
Okay. So
you seem surprised by that, Jeff. There are 4 of you. You remember we have to make 4 picks, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll pull something out of my ass. No, I was actually trying to get more details about this one because I haven't watched it in a while, but I love it so much. And it was a foundational holiday island scenario for me as a kid, and that's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Island of Misfit toys that they're in. And there was a sequel in 2001, I think, or something, where they tried to CG these same characters and make us love them. But I'm more specifically talking about the Rankin and Bass stop motion animated claymation, something different. Stop motion animated special called Rudolf the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And where they're flying around, they land on an island with a misfit cowboy, a Charlie in the box, a doll. The doll named Sue was, I think, Sue Ellen the doll. A cowboy with a gun that shoots grape jelly, and it is a kind of an existential part of this piece that, as a kid, I remember being really impacted by. One, there are all these toys, and this story is about bringing toys to children. And then, as a kid, I knew I had broken toys, but I didn't know there were such things as misfit toys. So I thought it was really interesting.
These were the days before Ross.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Ross Dress for Less? Is it whatever?
Yes,
yeah,
yeah,
where you can find all the misfit toys right in. One of the toys, Dolly for Sue, seemed perfectly normal to viewers. And then years later, in a 2007 interview, Arthur Rankin said Dolly considers herself a misfit because of low self-esteem and psychological problems. So, hats off for dealing with the challenges of bad body image and stuff like that.
And also being a Charlie in the box.
Yeah, a Charlie in the box.
Nobody wants to play with a Charlie in the box.
That's one thing that we haven't really talked about yet. The island as punishment, as the place that you send the dregs of society.
Yeah.
The place that you're trapped there because you are other, that you are bad, that you are a misfit.
You're a leper, like Papillon.
We can't keep you guys around because you're not good for society.
No.
That's something I hadn't considered for this topic. That's interesting.
Yeah, people see you, they're going to get upset. There's a plane that can't fly and like a seal that can't bark or something. I forget. There's a lot of weirdos. And then
what's a seal good for if it can't bark?
I don't know. I read that after Yukon Cornelius promises to try and save them, he doesn't. They're left on the island. When it originally aired, I think 1964, children wrote in letters and complained that these toys were left. And then in succeeding years, a scene was added.
Oh, that's an added scene.
That's an added scene.
I didn't know that.
Where they go back and save these idiotic toys that feel like they deserve a place in the arms of a child. But I think that was one of the first things as a kid where you're looking at a little bit of drama, a little bit of interest in animated kids things.
I assumed that the misfit toys got sent to the poor kids.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Parents couldn't afford real toys.
Yeah, or find.
So why can't Santa just give the poor kids real toys?
That's a good.
Santa is mean.
Jerk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Richard said that, not me, Santa Claus, in case you're listening to this podcast.
Did it also, as a kid, I'm curious, spoiler, I mean, if we all know Santa's real, right? Young people go away for this moment.
Simon doesn't listen to this.
Oh, he doesn't?
So
Okay. As a kid, I remember believing in Santa Claus longer than I should have, and then out of optimism, I think, because I wanted to believe in something. But
when he stopped giving you beer.
That's right.
In college. That's when you realized, wait a second.
Wait, hold on. But then wondering, how does Santa make an Atari? Because in all the shows, they show elves banging wood
with wooden
pegs and things like that.
It's just outsourced to Japan.
It totally must be.
Yeah, my parents always explained it to me as basically, well, he makes the toys that he can, and the ones he can't, he goes and he buys.
Oh, that's pretty real talk.
Okay.
All right. The kid, I think as a kid, you just say, was the word toys in that sentence?
Right.
I'm good.
I got an Atari.
Yeah.
Fucking boss.
Yeah, that's boss. That's my pick.
Okay, we are at halftime, and Jeff and Richard are going back and forth, neck and neck at this point.
Ripping shirts off, ripping pants off.
They are two men trapped on this island.
Oiled up.
Lots of palm oil, lots of coconut oil. I'm on a ship. I can see these two guys. Will I stop, invite them on, or just keep sailing on? We'll find out in the second half. But until then, please, we always implore you, ask you, beg you at this point to go on to Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or wherever you listen to this podcast. Give us just a rating. It's our Christmas gift that you can give to us. Also, you can just send us money.
Cash,
either money,
gift cards.
Bitcoin,
I also accept gift cards.
Gift card, or the cheaper thing to do just give us a rating. 4 stars, 5 stars. I don't know. How many stars do they go up to now?
Go 6.
6 stars.
See if you can do 6.
6 stars. Just rate and subscribe and just tell your friends. The best way that people learn about podcasts is when their friends say, I heard this podcast. So do that. Tell your friends, rate us.
Yeah, wherever you get podcasts, whether it's Stitcher, Spotify, Apple iTunes. We are on iHeartRadio.
Redbox.
Not on Redbox.
You can just go there to those kiosks.
We're on iHeartRadio, and I learned this because I was searching for iHeartRadio Christmas stations while we were putting up our tree the other day, and I just thought, I know they do podcasts have podcasts on here. Let me check them out. Rushmore, first thing that popped up.
It's the Podcast Pirates have put it on iHeartRadio. Did we put it on?
Yeah, we put it on there.
Sure, we did.
Wink, wink.
Okay.
Well, we are back to the second half. Richard, what is your third pick?
My third pick is this specific Far Side cartoon.
Oh.
Ding, ding, ding.
Wow.
Ding, ding, ding. Well, open the Borglum bag.
Oh, wow.
Ding, 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 ding. Ching, 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 ching. Richard nailed it.
Oh, really? I got your Borglum bag pick?
Holy shit, really?
If there was no reference, there should have been a reference that 40% of all Far Side cartoons
yeah. Are
trapped on a desert
Yeah,
I
island
could have.
cartoons.
Yeah,
Good job, Richard.
I could have picked a lot of them. I will describe this one as best I can. It is the typical Far Side desert island, which means it's got about a 6-foot circumference, and it's got the palm tree in the middle, as you would expect, or the coconut tree. I really unclear. And it's got in the foreground a castaway with an old time printing press, just printing up newspaper after newspaper. And in the background, you see the other person with his back resting on the tree, reading a newspaper that says, Ned is a whiner. And the caption says, hot off the press, the very first edition of the Desert Island Times caused the paper to quickly fold. And it's
God bless you, Gary Larson.
It's just
pretty amazing.
I went through a lot of different ones that I had found. There's one where there's 2 very nearby desert islands, and there's a human on one, and he has help written in the sand. The other one has a duck on it, and it just says quack.
That's funny.
Which is also a funny one. It's a very quick one. I love this one because you mentioned the concept of like getting trapped. Someone did. Either you're an individual, maybe it's you, Jeff, or you're like part of a group. What you don't really usually hear is like 2 people.
Yeah.
Or 3 people, or like a very small group. And I think if it's a larger like group, then you would have people to sort of
Sure, it turns into Survivor, and it turns into groups that form together, and it turns
Tribes.
into
it turns into a tribe, into its own community,
working together.
But if it was just you and one other person, you guys would fucking hate each other after about like a month.
Yeah, usually it's about 6 weeks until the other person imagines you as a giant turkey.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you're chasing them around. The other one's a drumstick.
Or the opposite. I mean, you guys, I don't find you guys attractive beyond just regular masculinity.
God, this all goes in the
But it would get sexy.
I'm the judge.
It would get sexy after a while, I think, if we were on an island.
It might.
Yeah.
It might. Could. I just love this comic. I love the fact that there happens to be a printing press on the island.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he's got enough newspaper to be able to print. I love the fact that he took the time to actually like write all this out.
Typeset it.
I love the fact that the other guy didn't just look at it and throw it down, but he appears to be actually reading the article itself.
Yeah.
As if he's curious to learn more about why exactly he is a whiner.
Yeah.
Gary Larson was so good at having his 15 or 20. Gary Larson was so good at having his sort of 15 or 20 like go-to tropes, and see what kind of joke I could make out of it, and you can keep coming back to him. And this is one of my favorites. The single, the disc of an island.
It took me years.
So wonderful.
It took me years to realize why that other than the comedy of it, why the island was so small. It's just you need to be able to get the idea that he's on a desert island or trapped on this island, but you need to be able to do it in a context of a one-pane comic.
Yeah.
So you have to make it like this totally teeny tiny, like little atoll sort of thing. It took me years to figure that out. So there was like a perspective thing, that it wasn't strictly just a gag.
Yeah. Gary Larson, I think, will have his, if he can rein in it, I think he expresses his political beliefs on some social media.
No, you're thinking of the Dilbert guy.
Oh, sorry. I think he'll have his
Day in court.
his Louvre Gallery exhibition at some point.
Sure.
Because he is a surrealist on par with Seurat or who's the Je ne sais un pipe or whatever that guy Magritte. Yeah, so I think especially he uses motifs that recur and they develop into this ensemble, almost like the Weekly World News cast of characters. So yeah, that's pretty darn hilarious.
All right, that's all I got on that.
All right.
That's all I need to say.
Jeff,
Fair
number
enough.
3.
Okay. As a kid, I used to love Monster Week, and I liked all the different monster stuff. And then Godzilla on Monster Island would come on, and that was just like Friday. You'd gone through all of Monster Week, and Godzilla versus Mothra was usually like Thursday. Smog Monster was usually like Monday. Something with Godzuki or whatever, that was something you just kind of skipped past. But the idea that there was this island full of monsters was the coolest shit on the planet, and that they would all be flying at each other. But I didn't know until I just searched this. That was a good Godzilla. That it was called Godzilla versus Gigan. And
Is it Gigan the guy who created D&D?
Yeah, Gary Gigan. Yeah, the Monster Manual, Dungeon Master's Guide.
Monster Manual makes sense.
Yeah. And I thought it was just the best because I think every big budget spectacular, all you can do is really be additive. Iron Man can fight a bigger Iron Man, or Hulk has to fight a bigger Hulk.
Yeah.
And it really just kind of escalates until you're on a freaking island full of monsters. And loved it. Yeah.
What I like about this is another thing that we haven't really talked about is the islands are often mysterious, or at least they were before the world was kind of mapped. And you can zoom into any place on the map on like Google Maps or whatever. You can literally see every street and every car parked on there at some sort of snapshot.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's some weird areas over Russia that you can't. They won't
That are
let
blocked,
you zoom
satellite
into.
blocked,
Same thing with
yeah.
China. But like the sea and the island in the middle of the sea was always something that could hold monsters.
Yeah.
That is so deserted. No human has ever been there.
Yeah.
There used to be places like that, and maybe there still are. Who knows?
Evolutionary outliers where
Yes,
you may find the remains of some species that has long been extinct.
The idea that you're just like, oh yeah, there's Godzillas out there fighting Mothras on some island that no one knows where it is in the South Pacific that only the Japanese might know about, but they're like, they're pretty hush hush about a lot of things. So let's not. We're not gonna reveal the location of it.
It was the atomic, who was Fat Man or Little Boy, or which landed on Hiroshima. Hiroshima's an island, right? Or it's part of the city in Japan.
Japan's an island.
Japan's an island. Sorry, guys, I'm an idiot. But the idea that this abomination of Godzilla was created by man's meddling with the nature of science and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
but,
sure.
yeah.
It's seemingly all of Japanese pop culture was, reactivated by the U.S. bombing them.
Yeah.
It generated their entire sense of anime and manga and everything, and like a lot of their pop culture is built on like this horrible thing that happened to them, and they had to reset their entire identity in the world.
Yeah.
And monsters too.
Monster 2. Well, I love this pick, and I love this pick. I mean, I chose this pick. I loved that movie, and then when I saw the latest King Kong, there was some
Skull Island.
Skull Island. Yeah.
Is it pretty good?
No, I don't think it's good. But John C. Reilly is kind of hilarious in it, and he is this.
No shit. What isn't John C. Reilly?
Guys, there's a big monster there.
I don't know. Maybe we should not go where a monster is. He is so goofy, and he carries the plot so well, and he reacts to everything so well. And at some point, he suddenly he is a military. He's a World War II soldier who's been left there, and now there's these people who found him on the island, and he'll say like, "Are you real? I don't even know. I don't even know if you're real because I talk to myself all the time. Am I talking out loud? Because sometimes I don't know the difference between thinking and talking. Like, it's so funny to see him react. And then
that's interesting that the monsters are obviously real, but the people are these
Yeah, that film being on an island and full of monsters and full of these outside people who've come in to try to monetize these creatures, but are going to fall prey to them. Spoiler:
put a FedEx logo on the back. And...
So I loved Godzilla on Monster Island.
Richard,
look,
last
guys.
choice.
Yeah, look, guys.
He started off with a look, guys.
Wow.
I'm gonna write that down.
Look, guys.
Didn't realize he had to get so condescending so quickly.
Look,
Why are you staring at my soul?
I've seen every episode of Survivorman. I know that if push came to shove, if the shit went down, and I had to go full castaway, I could do it.
You could.
Oh yeah, I've seen every episode of Survivorman.
What's Survivor
I don't
Man?
know it either.
It was basically Discovery Channel's version of the Bear Grylls show.
Oh, okay.
But it was better because the guy wasn't so much of a douche.
Oh.
Like Bear Grylls. He didn't have a douchey name like Bear Grylls, for one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically he would have a film crew.
That's a big mistake right there.
Well, there is your problem. They would have a film crew that would drop him off with like 80 pounds of film equipment and nobody else, and go into these different survival scenarios. And they would say, okay, we're going to meet you back at the pickup point in a week. And he would just film himself trying to survive for a week in these various, whether it's a plane crash in the Arctic,
Mm-hmm.
or being stuck in the Serengeti, or
Not an island.
Several of them were islands, though. I could do this. I know what to do. First off, you gotta get water. That's the number one thing I've learned from watching these survival type shows.
Water.
If you don't get water, you're dead, and you're gonna die in a couple of days. You can go for a while without food. You can probably go a whole week without food if you really had to, but you're not going very far without water.
This is like filtered water, right? Like
Yeah,
the
Dasani.
charcoal.
Yeah,
just
like a
nice
Dasani.
or like something with
Again,
bubbles in it.
the vending machine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that the 80 pounds of
what he's carrying is 80-pound
send me
vending
80
machine.
pounds of water? I'm good.
What?
I would do so terrible.
Oh, God,
I don't
yeah.
like. I don't like when my fingers get like all icky from like cutting up chicken.
Yeah.
That's the worst. I would be like,
Yeah.
just
He's not trapped.
someone.
Well, he is trapped. He's there for a week. I'm saying if I was
He's got a
trapped-
cameraman with him.
No, he doesn't have a cameraman. He's got all the equipment by himself.
He's GoPro in it the whole
He's
time.
basically like
Set up cameras.
he would set up a camera. He talks about this, how it's much more of a pain in the ass.
Oh, okay.
Because he has to like shoot himself basically.
Yeah.
Is he ever?
But I'm not saying he's trapped I'm trapped on the island. I'm saying if it was me,
Yeah.
having watched these survival type shows, I'm like Michael Scott. You could put me out in the woods. I'd be fine.
How do you get water in the desert?
Well,
Cactus.
Cactus.
Okay.
Usually there's some sort of, if it's an island, there's going to be some sort of water stream somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't say it necessarily had to be a desert island, did we?
No.
Yeah. So this could be a tropical island. You could be collecting rainwater.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just walk to the edge and drink what's in the ocean.
I mean, it will drive you a little crazy, but
It's
you're
not
going to
there
be
that long.
you're going to be crazy anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well just lean into it.
Is he ever tasked with actually getting on the episodes that he is trapped on an island? Is he ever tasked with getting off the island, or just like going from point A to point B on said island?
Usually it's point A to point B, but someone's going to find me. They're going to see me on Google Maps, as you said. We're fine.
Yeah.
I'll create some sort of smoke screen or something. And, usually, what am I doing? What am I doing that I would ever be trapped on a desert island?
No, you
Any
go
sort of
from
island.
you go from Los Angeles to Phoenix to Kingsburg. I know your
What if-
entire
My
entire
entire
yearly
route.
route.
You
That's
just
it.
bought the cheapest flight on
Ryanair.
yeah. Well,
Spirit Airlines,
Yeah, I
yeah.
thought it was a direct, but there's 4 stops. One of the stops
one of them
is a Sahara desert.
one of them was Tahiti.
A 7-day layover.
Right. So, but
I admire your confidence because I don't have that confidence in that.
only because I've watched these shows. I've watched enough of these, and I have complete confidence, complete irrational confidence in my own.
Would
abilities.
you?
If we're being honest, I would be dead within a couple of hours. I would get hit in the head with a coconut, and unlike on Gilligan's Island, where it just sort of makes the Fred Flintstone sound and kind of go whoop, it would crush my skull.
Speaking of Gilligan, I was going to say this earlier, and I think I've said it on another podcast, that what did damage Gilligan for me from a kind of an existential experience was when Skipper would look directly into the lens Alan Hale Jr. would be the only cast member to break the fourth wall. And if Gilligan, little buddy, did something, he'd look right into the lens and do like a eye roll. Then you'd think, he fucking planned this. He knows. He put them. He's the skipper. He piloted right to that island, wrecked the boat, and he set up cameras. He's Survivorman.
Or he's Christo from Truman Show.
Yeah.
He set this all up.
He set it all up.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Jeffrey.
That's me.
Please.
Get
us off of this island.
Okay, I'm going to finish this on the least. This is the least researched, least. Every time.
I like it already.
Every time people discuss a deserted island, it's often with the context of what experience. What do you love about life that you, if you could only bring one of, you would bring to this island? So. What the one thing that guy get hitched up on is if you could bring one food to a deserted island, what would it be? And my answer is always tacos. And then
party time Jeff is here. I love it.
Yeah. Then I think
then he leaves 15 minutes into being trapped on the island.
Yeah.
Just like that's Jeff.
See, I gotta go.
He leaves the tacos with us, so that's the most important thing.
He has social island anxiety disorder. But then this island somehow has an unlimited supply of tacos. And now that's the best fucking island in the world. Like, can you imagine?
Could you make a boat out of those tacos?
You probably could make a raft, hard shell tacos.
Hard shell
Do you think
tacos,
so?
yeah.
But
my choice would be live whale. That's what I'm going to eat.
A
live
you would just ride
whale.
a live
then I
whale.
could just ride that damn thing off into the sunset.
Yeah. Or what album?
No. The rules mean you have to be eating that whale while you're
You
riding
gotta be eating it.
You got to be taking bites.
Something's got to be making that thing go.
Yeah, nibbling on his tail.
Yeah.
Or album, like if you could bring any album, and if it was, the Ramones' greatest hits or something like that, then it's the partiest fucking island in the planet. So it changes the nature of the island, right?
As long as you could bring one of everything you love.
Yeah. Now it's no longer, I'm stuck, I'm trapped, this is bad, I'm a prisoner of circumstance. It's the best thing in the world.
But would you eventually get sick of tacos?
No.
I love that optimism to end this out.
With tacos also, like I think, let's say there's a taco cannon or a taco conveyor belt or something.
The taco vending machine.
The taco vending machine. Some days I just feel like salad and tomato. I'll just take that off the top. And I'm imagining the Taco Bell taco, not
a real taco.
Not a real taco. So that's how I feel about it. Like you suddenly went from due to unfortunate circumstance, blank is happening, and now you must try to make the most of it by bringing blank.
Deserted island is half full in your
Now
eyes.
it's the best.
Well, half full of tacos.
I don't even need like my Kindle. I'll just eat tacos.
Just read tacos.
But from Google Maps, you might look and go, "That's Diarrhea Island." They would probably see it just from
like an oil.
satellite.
They probably think it's some sort of oil slick or something.
Yeah. So there you have it.
I love that interpretation of turning a negative into a positive.
Okay.
That seeing being trapped for forever. I assume it's for forever.
Yeah.
Or it's for because if you approach it, I'm going to be trapped on an island for a year. Anything is bearable because you have that calendar in your head and you can be like, oh, I'm out of here in a year. I can do this. But to be like, oh, I'm trapped here forever, but I get my favorite thing. That's like, got my favorite thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Well, here I wish there was a unlimited taco situation. It doesn't exist. But there it does.
Get some lunch after this?
We had some tacos, guys.
Tacos.
Not Taco Bell.
Let's go to islands.
Oh, sounds good. Yeah.
I bet you they serve tacos. I bet you they're awful.
Okay, I'm gonna start judging because I think I'm ready.
Okay.
Richard,
Yes.
you get a point
Okay.
I don't like the direction this is heading.
I'll take one.
for the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island. That opened up a whole can of worms on the Islanders' own series of self-defeats that kept them on the island.
Yeah.
Also, just the ridiculousness of the world's best basketball team playing the world's best robots. Loved it. Love that pick.
Yeah.
Stellar. Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla versus Gigan.
Okay.
That was a great aspect of island culture, of the hidden, mysterious island where anything is possible. Anything can grow on this island. Anything.
Yeah.
There is a dire optimism there.
Yeah.
Where, who knows? It could be It could be a 40-story lizard monster versus a 30-ish and a half story. Mothra's not as big as Godzilla, so
In the Gary Larson rendition of an island, it's usually pretty bare.
Yeah.
It's usually pretty.
This one is lush.
Yeah.
Deep.
Yeah.
Dense. Mysterious. Love that. Richard,
Yes.
you get a point for the Far Side cartoon.
Yeah. I know
Partially-
my audience.
I feel like I should. That's very important.
that's the boredom.
On this. Yes, very important on the show.
Yep.
That you could identify that as a. It's like my cheese pick from a couple weeks ago. It's the cartoon cheese pick. If you're drawing a deserted island, you're drawing that one palm tree on that one half moon of land in the middle with one person sitting there just looking off, seeing, who knows, his despair, but making something fun out of it. Great pick. And Jeff, you guys are splitting.
Oh, we did. Oh,
I'll take that. I'll take that.
I'm surprised. You
I'm on
get
the
good choices.
I'm on the road. I'm on the road. I'll take a draw.
Love the optimism at the end of this. The kind of we had a deep evil optimism of what's lurking out there, and at the end it's, oh, I'm trapped on the island. Man, let's have some tacos and make it work. Let's have some fun out here.
What day is it? Tuesday. Every day.
When we talked about our desert island discs,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, I tried to look at in some of my picks in terms of the optimism of it. Of like, I'm trapped here on this album, on this island with an album. I want to get drunk and sing some karaoke.
Yeah.
This had a little bit of feelers of that, of like, I'm here with my favorite music. Let's party about it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Right on.
All right, man.
Split decision.
I'll take it.
You guys,
All right.
you know
Happy to
what?
have it.
Turning the boat around. Gonna pick you both up.
All right.
You're gonna- no, that's just because Jeff has all the tacos.
Also, since you each only got two, gonna sell you into slavery.
Whoa, bad news. Well,
But at least you're off the island.
we're off the island.
Right?
Do we tell them about the dead body?
Well, this has been the Mount Rushmore podcast. I am always Michael.
I'm Richard.
And I'm Jeff.